I received a phone call one morning in September 1992. Clem's been in an accident, the person told me. The Clem they were referring to was Clem McSpadden, a former congressman, but to me he was the greatest of all rodeo announcers. Clem was driving his pickup when he struck a 64-car, two-engine Burlington Northern freight train. The train won, knocking his truck 69 feet. I was so scared when I got the call. I was halfway through my 16 seasons of covering rodeo, and Clem and I had become very good friends. I was shaking. And then I got Donna on the phone. That's his wife. She assured me he was going to be okay. This morning I had a message from Clem's son Bart. Call me as soon as you get this. Sent about 1:30 this morning. I felt it again. The note said little else, but I felt it. Bart, what's wrong? We lost Dad last night. He was crying. I was shaking. Still am a little. Fought back tears all day today. Because I didn't just lose a rodeo buddy, I lost a hero. This morning I went back to the Shrine Rodeo at the Garfield County Fairgrounds in Enid when I was no more than 5 or 6 years old. I could hear Clem's voice. For a long time I thought he must do every rodeo there was because I couldn't think of another voice telling about Larry Mahan or Tom Ferguson or Roy Duval. Later it was Roy Cooper and Don Gay. This morning I went back to an outdoor arena in Amarillo, Texas. I was a sports writer covering a rodeo, and I knew full well who the man in the announcer's stand was. It was Clem McSpadden. I'd never met him, and for me it was like walking toward the Oval Office. But as I write in my column tomorrow, I found a man who was anything but intimidating. He was to me that day genuine. He was to me last week genuine when we spoke for the last time. Today, the cancer no longer hurts Clem McSpadden. But today, thousands upon thousands who knew him, and if you ever met him, you knew him, hurt. Maybe to ease that hurt, I'll share a story Clem told me about the last time he saw his great-uncle Will Rogers. It was at the house that Will was born in, which was also the house Clem grew up in. Clem's father, Herb, managed the dog iron for his Uncle Will, who constantly was on the road. So Herb, his wife Madeline, and their children lived in the house. One day about 10:30 in the morning in 1935, Clem noticed a fellow in a suit, tie, and little dress type hat with a 2.5-inch brim riding one of Herb's colts through a field toward the thrashing crew that was thrashing oats during that second week in June. Herb had some colts he kept by the barn, and Will had picked one out and was riding out their way. The men shut down the thrasher so they could visit with Will. Then about an hour later, Will rode back to the house. He was in a bit of a hurry because he was going to meet up with aviator Wiley Post. As it turned out, both men died when the plane they were in crashed near Point Barrow, Alaska. Up at the house, Clem's mother and 2 neighbor women had made blackberry cobblers as part of a meal for about 30 people in the thrashing crew. She had a little more filling left than what she needed for the 4 or 5 big cobblers, so she put those blackberries in a 10-inch pie pan. All the cobblers were on the back porch cooling when Will rode up. He went and pulled out from a drawer, picked up a tablespoon and started eating right out of the 10-inch pie pan. Between bites, he had told them how a guy couldn't buy cobbler like that in New York or Hollywood. He ate the whole deal of blackberry cobbler, Clem told me, and that's the last time we saw him. You know, he was very full and very happy when he left the old home place. The last time I spoke with Clem, he had just left a restaurant. I asked him if he had had his white gravy on everything. Doctors said he couldn't, but he had put his eggs on top of his pancakes. That's a poor man's gravy, he told me, and we both laughed. When we parted ways, though on the phone, Clem McSpadden was full and very happy.